Welcome back, everybody, to Dark Horse Matters. Bev Matayoshi here, your passionate host. I'm so excited about this episode today because it is my very first recap with someone I interviewed in season one. So random. He reached out to me literally a day after I randomly decided to rewatch our episode. So it was just kind of like, I mean, how weird is that? I watched the episode. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. And then he reaches out to me like, and now we're doing this. So I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know. God works in mysterious ways. That energy brought us back together. So now we're going to talk. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and share because I know you're going to find value and you definitely will today. So today I'm welcoming back a man I interviewed in season one, who I called the best network marketer I've ever met. And since then, since that episode, I mean, I've seen him walk across the stage with Eric Worre, GoPro Accelerator, which is a huge honor and just a huge, statement and saying how well you're doing in business. And now he's a published author. So proud to, I can't wait to like dive into his book on this show right now. So let's not waste any time. I just want to welcome again the ultimate kingdom builder himself, James Zheng.
What an introduction. Thanks so much, Bev. And for any listener of this podcast, you know how special of a guest you have with Bev, because I was telling you this before we got on. A lot of people that start a lot of things, especially today's day and age, podcasts and all that. But to see your consistency over the course of time, it just says so much about you and your character and your passion for your listener and for what you do. So just want to applaud you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so excited to have you here today because I know a lot has happened since the last time we spoke. And I know you have more desires and passions that you're pursuing. And I just kind of want to like find out, can you kind of, I mean, I don't even know where to begin. Like,
Since last time?
yeah, like what's
Yeah.
happened since then? Like what's been going on with you and your wife, Becky?
I was telling you last time, I need to watch that too. And if you're a person of faith, there is no such thing as coincidence. There is such a thing as God's providence, which is He works all these little details together for His purposes, right? So, I don't think it's coincidental, but that's funny how that is. But the first time that we spoke was the first time that I really started to get myself out on this on online, because nowadays, especially in business, and you know this, it's important to show up. It's important to develop a brand. So for anybody that's listening, that's thinking about business of any type, whether you're a dentist or a network marketer or in real estate, I hope that's something that you're considering, which is how do you take advantage of this online space because you can have an audience ever. So that's where I was last time. And since then, it's evolved to a whole different thing. I have a YouTube channel now and a podcast, and now I straight build business from my phone. I think when we last talked, I was still trying to figure out how to put up a TikTok or something, probably.
I kind of want to bring up something from our interview we did,
Yeah.
in season one. One of the biggest takeaways I had from our conversation was at the end, because you kind of shared, you were vulnerable with us and shared like some of your lows that you went through in business. You almost lost everything and how you got yourself out of that rut. And what you said, well, we talked about gratitude and how that was like the powerful thing that got you out of that space. But what you said to me really resonated. You said, gratitude is God's frequency.
Amen.
And I was just like, wow, did you make that up or did someone teach you that? Like, I never thought
Everything's
about it that way,
vibrancy.
but how perfect is that?
Yeah.
Gratitude is God's frequency.
It's interesting too, because I don't know if you've seen this, but your thoughts and your emotions literally do have frequency. Like it's a literal energy emission. So if you Google energy and frequencies, there's a spectrum. And everything that is scientific, I believe, just backs what the Bible has said as well, too. We know an attitude of gratitude is important. But get this, Bev, is that on the very bottom, of the frequency spectrum is like fear, right? Doubt, fear, anxiety. But the highest, literally the highest frequency, and frequency means high energetic vibration and stuff like that, is gratitude. So when we say that God's frequency is gratitude, it's like an actual scientific statement as well as a very practical and spiritual statement as well too, and it works.
Yeah. And you guys out there, I mean, we're kind of talking about this leading up to his latest creation, his book. And I just really enjoyed reading it. I just literally read it in a day, and it's so valuable. And he so much things that you can actually implement right away in your life. So I kind of want to talk about like what inspired you to write a book. I mean, I'm thinking in my head, like Jerry Maguire, you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, I'm gonna write and change the world. That's kind of what I thought about you. And I'm like, where did this come from?
Yeah. You know what's so funny is I think a lot of us have wanted to be an author at some point, right? Even for you, Bev, has that been a thought
Oh
ever?
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember trying to write a novel at age 14.
Wow. Wow. And I tried, ironically, I'm 90% done with another book, but I never finished it. And what happened this time was, I think for most things in life, we change not when we see the light, we change when we feel the heat, and the heat was on. And I was going through a time in my life where our business was growing, but it wasn't growing fast enough. And I wonder, listener, if you've ever had that before, Bev, if you've had that happen before, you're like, it's good, it's not great. And I think all of us, we have a breaking point, right? That whole straw that breaks the camel's back. And what happened was, post COVID and all these different things going on, we had some big goals. Specifically, we were looking to close on our dream home, and now we're here. But during the time, it was crazy. So we were moving from the Bay Area to San Diego, which, if you know California, real estate's already expensive. But then you put on the COVID thing, the house that we got locked in on, it rose by, gosh, 50%, 40%. So we're
That's
like, okay,
crazy.
it's nuts. And people are still buying, and we're like, all right,
Right.
well, we really want it, but it's really expensive. Now, on top of that, we had a savings and we had money stocked away. And guess what? The doomsday situations that happened. We had a crypto investment gone bad. We lost a lot of money. Basically, our down payment was gone. And we're just
Oh,
like, it's already hard enough. Now it's harder. And you're kind of looking at, I wonder if you've ever had one of those moments where you're like, God, why? It's like, come on. But God wants more of our character than he does of our comfort so many times. And it was through that desperation where it was just like, the good things were not good enough. And I had to seek the God things. And that's what led me into what now is in this book called The Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. There it is. There it is. It's awesome. And what I did is I went to the Bible itself. And, for me, it's a source of truth. So I said, what did people that did remarkable things do? And I found out they did a combination of fasting to disconnect yourself from the world, prayer to connect yourself back with God, and Bible study to have God connect with us. And in 7 days, Bev, as you know in the book, the most amazing things happen. I liken it to Neo from the Matrix taking the red pill.
Yes,
And what
yes.
happened was this. I said, I never was thinking about writing the book. But on the seventh day, I felt like the Lord was putting in my heart to say, you got to write this out. So in 10 days, I wrote the book, actually. And now I have
Wow.
it.
That's crazy. And you have something here. I really love the connection with the Bible, the written word, because I mean, when I took a class back in undergrad, it was the Old Testament as literature. And it was such an interesting class because the teacher, he would pick these stories and relate it to today's world. Like everything there's so much things that's so relevant. Like all this content we're watching out there on business success, life, love, everything, it's all in there.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a language that it's a little outdated. You have to, it has to be, reinterpreted over and over. But I mean, it's really cool how you can read that book and it's timeless. It's always going to be relevant.
It literally is. And whether you're a person that believes this book is what it says that it is, I believe, and you believe this is the written word of God, even if you don't believe that, we cannot dispute how monumental and impactful and influential in the world this is. I mean, United States was founded based off of this book. The whole Western civilization was based off of this book. So yeah, to your point right there, everything's good. So if we just go back to the foundation, here's a bold statement. I believe all the world's problems would be solved if people read and applied what's in this book. So same with this breakthrough in this book as well too. So just
and I guess to add to that would be like if you were to pick out the most influential person that inspires you. There's a lot of, speakers out there, influential speakers. The things that resonate is probably in there somewhere in some shape or form. There will be evidence to guide you back to what you think is, what you can learn and what ways to make you grow. I mean, it's in there somewhere.
It is. It is.
I just find that very fascinating. But yeah, that's why I think you really have something here. And the fact that you limited it down to a way that you can make stuff happen for yourself in 7 days, that is so doable. It doesn't sound impossible. You don't have to walk through the desert for 40 days and 40 nights.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who got time for that these days?
Right. But I now want to kind of go into the fasting because I don't know if you've ever heard of this woman. Her name is Dr. Mindy Pelz. She is I follow her and I'm obsessed with her content on Instagram and YouTube. She talks about fasting a lot. I just read this book here, Fast Like a Girl.
Wow.
And it's just she breaks down fasting to a science in order for you to heal your body.
Yeah.
And it's just so crazy. You mentioned a lot of this stuff in her book, in your book. And I was just like, wow, how cool is this that I read that book and now I'm reading this and he's talking about fasting again and how it can not only your body, but spiritually, that connection there. So can you kind of tell the audience a little bit about fasting? What does that have to do with the breakthrough?
Absolutely. So let me share this. This is the most powerful idea I've ever learned. And I picked this up from Bob Proctor. Many people know him from The Secret. So he studied Think and Grow Rich for like 60 plus years, right? And this is the biggest thing. If you're somebody that wants to make any change in your life, we all know that it starts with how you think. But the issue with changing how you think is if I were to ask you a question, Bev, and most people, if I asked you, describe to me how the mind looks. If you didn't see this before, what might you say? If I'm like, what does the mind look like? What images would come to you?
I see, I don't know, this is kind of random, but I see like compartments, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You
It's
kind
kind of
of
like, it's vague, right? It's like, I don't know. It's like maybe you see those little thought clouds, or maybe you see compartments, right? You're
you
so
put this
organized.
thought here, this thought here. This is appropriate for right now. And
Yeah. Yeah. Some people might think the brain, right? The organ or something, but
Mhm.
this is the best way to describe it. And to simplify it, this is called the stick person. We have a body, and we know that with our body, it's our fleshly parts of us. Interesting. God is 3 in 1, biblically speaking, and he made us in his image, and we're 3 in 1. We have a body, we have a mind, which is a conscious and a subconscious mind. You can also call it the soul. The soul is our emotions, our will, all that type of stuff. But we also have a spirit around us. Spirit, mind, body. Now, what does fasting do? And why is it so important? Because if we want to make a change in our life, business life, whatever that it is, we have to influence our mind. the biggest thing that holds back most of us from influencing our mind in the ways that we want to is because we are addicted to the influence of things that only please the body. And it's
Mm.
even simplified. Get this. I mean, literally, our stomach is in the way of our breakthrough. Just think about it, Bev, and pork with teeth and everything, right? How much time a day do we devote to even just thinking about food and eating?
Oh gosh, that's like people's highlights. What's
Yeah,
for lunch?
yes, yes. And eating it and digesting it and that whole.
Hmm.
So what happens is, practically speaking, when we stop thinking about food so much, we can devote more energy to the higher faculties of thinking and emotion and clearness and everything as well too. And on a spiritual side, what that does for those that believe you have a spirit is you starve the appetite so that you can feed the spirit, and you allow the
Mm.
spirit to influence your mind rather than the body influence your mind. So practically, that's why it's so important when it comes to fasting.
Wow. That, I mean, it's just amazing. Like, and now because of our culture, we're so bad with food.
Oh,
It's so bad. I mean, I'm looking at, after I read this book, I went and looked in my refrigerator and I was like, oh gosh, I need to really clean house here.
hopefully, they didn't eat it all.
I
And that's it.
know. But yeah, I'm just like, wow, I need to make better choices here. A lot of it's super like convenient kind of food.
Yeah, it
The one
is.
thing I can say that I do a lot of daily is drinking water.
Good. Good job.
I I always tell my patients too, like nothing quenches your thirst quite the
Mm,
same as water.
yeah.
And when I hear people they don't even drink any, most people are just dehydrated.
Oh my gosh.
And I check blood pressures at work and it's always up. I give them some water, then it goes down. Like you're dehydrated.
So simple, right?
Yeah.
So simple. And it's like, and it's interesting because you mentioned the book, Fast Like a Girl. That sounds like a fascinating book. Is when you think about fasting, because the book itself, so the Miraculous Breakthrough format, basically talks about three disciplines, spiritual disciplines that are found not just in the Bible, but actually in any spiritual background. You see, there's fasting, prayer, and study of their scripture. It's kind of the three disciplines, but especially in today's generation, fasting is, I believe, the least practiced discipline. Like Americans can't even think about that. When we think fast, we think fast food.
Right,
That's
right.
the thing.
Or I get
However,
hungry when I think about fasting.
oh yeah, exactly,
It's like,
exactly,
no,
right?
not today. I want to eat first.
Yes, yes. But it's crazy, and you know this from reading the books, is fasting, I think for most people, they think, oh, I'm starving myself, I'm killing myself, and this isn't healthy.
Hmm.
But as you know, scientifically, the body goes through types of amazing health benefits as you fast. For example, stem cells. If you know what a stem cell is, it is the predecessor to all cells. It is a cell that can be created to a brain cell if you need more brain cells, bone cells if you need more bone cells. How about skin cells if you need better looking skin? If we could all look like you, Bev, life would be
I know the value of stem cells. I banked both my kids' stem cells, their
smart.
cord blood. Yeah, I banked
Wow.
it because I was like, you know what? I'm gonna invest in technology and the
Yeah.
advancements of it. So you
Wow.
never know when they'll need it. It might help save them from losing their ability to walk someday or
So
something happens.
so
So
smart.
yeah, it's crazy. But the fact that fasting can rejuvenate your body's way to heal itself, because
Mm-hmm.
what we eat, we're just damaging ourselves. The
Mm-hmm.
inflammation is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's true. It's
yeah.
absolutely true. 72 hours, Bev, after you fast. And when I say fast, I'm specifically saying no calories, no food. When you go 3 days or 72 hours with fasting, you literally stimulate your own body stem cells to actually start to form and start to do things around the body. You are, to what you said, literally healing yourself. It's
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah. And I just think about all the inflammatory conditions, diseases, chronic illnesses out
Oh,
there,
yeah.
and something like fasting is just so unfathomable. Like if that could be what makes you healthy, why wouldn't you try it, you know? And
the best thing you can do if you have cancer many times is fast. Did you know there's actually clinics with doctors that when someone has cancer, they walk them through a 40-day water only fast. And that, like, some miracle stories happen in those things.
wow. And 40 days, what relevance does that have to the
Isn't that interesting, huh?
right? Wow, that's so crazy. I was thinking about one of the stories that you highlighted in your book about Moses. And after God spoke to him, you said that his face shone and
Yes.
everybody was afraid because his face was shiny. And
Yes.
I don't know why. I mean, but this kind of reminded me of when I tried to do I actually successfully did a 72-hour fast.
Nice.
I came out of it wrong. I didn't read how you're supposed to come out of a fast properly, but I did it. And after like the first day, after the first 24 hours, I was fine. I didn't crave anymore. But during those 3 days at work, oh my gosh, like people were like, what's wrong with you? You're not eating. Like everybody was so uncomfortable with the idea of me not eating, especially during lunch when everyone's eating. And it just made me think of that passage, like everyone's afraid, like, do I look different or something? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, you literally do. Because when you fast, you start to burn your ketone bodies and everything, and then you're starting to regenerate certain things in your body again as well too. So you're getting leaner, literally, because you're cutting the fat itself. You go into ketosis. Your skin gets better because it's starting to rejuvenate and everything. So you literally physically will look better typically. And I think you're just happier, not as
I significantly noticed how much better I felt. Like the brain fog was gone. But I don't know, that passage, what do you like, what does it mean to you? Like, because I know, I mean, fasting is one thing, but there's so many things that you can parallel that with. So what do you think?
Yeah, it's Moses. So it's called the Shekinah glory in the Old Testament. And it's when you seek God and you're in his presence, it will reflect on you. We become like the people that we hang around, right? The people that we influence ourselves with. So if you look towards God and you have him start to reprogram you, so to speak, you're going to feel and look and act more like him. Where for those that read the Bible, you might look at especially the Old Testament, and then might be like, those are good stories. Was it really Jonah, a big fish that ate, Jonah? Or is that just Moby Dick, right? But if you take it for what it is, and it's true, I believe everything in the Bible is literally literal. So Moses, when he gets off of the mountain, literally, he's been staring at God for 40 days. And if you know in the Old Testament, God, you cannot see him just straight up. Like he is so holy that you will literally die if you see him. But how crazy is it that when you fast and you seek God, he will literally be reflected off of you, that glory. And that's what happened with Moses. And that's what happens when you fast for a spiritual reason. You literally see God and his presence is with you. And people look at you, they're like, there's something different about you, Bev. What's going on? It's not just because you lost weight, which is a part of it, but there's more to it as well, too, especially for someone that believes there is such a thing as a spiritual life. It's how you tap into it.
And, I kind of also like, I think about people who are starting a new business or something, or people who want to change their life. They're tired of living this life, this rat race that they're doing. And, like a lot of, it's so super common once you try something new, the people that you're closest to are like, what's going on with you? You're different, you seem different, you look different. It kind of made me think of that too. When people have that breakthrough in life where they want to change, I mean, it's kind of like the same thing. The reflection of your success or whatever's or your change is kind of like that reflection of God.
Exactly. People,
Very, very cool stuff, James. I really, really love this book. And those of you out there, like, please read it. You can literally read it in a day. I finished it in a day.
nice.
But the takeaways from it is just endless. I could probably just keep this in my car, if I need to like reflect. It's small enough that you can bring it with you. Yeah.
I consider it like, I think especially a time like this, we're in a world now, there's so much stress. There's so much stuff going on, post-COVID world, inflation, political drama, just a lot of stuff going on. And if we just go back to the roots, and there's some like basic disciplines, just like in business, you know how it is when if you want to rekindle your business, go back to the basics,
Mhm.
right? In anything in life, if you want to take care of your teeth better, go back to the basics of brushing and flossing and all that, right? How much so, more so in our lives as a whole, our spiritual lives, our mental lives, our physical lives, how important is it to just go all the way back down to the roots and re-practice those disciplines that can ground us, empower us, just help clear everything up as well too. And when it's rooted in God's word, and these are truths, whether you believe the Bible or not, that work, I believe it's like the foundational thing that anybody that goes through that, you're going to experience something incredible into your life. But I had people that are not people of faith go through this same thing. Principles work whether you believe it or not. And miracles happen in 7 days. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so
Yeah.
cool to see.
That was actually what I was going to ask you next was like
Yeah.
how do people who are not religious,
Yeah.
or how have they been reacting to your book here?
Yeah. People are craving it. See, everyone, whether they believe in a God or not, they know that there's something missing on the inside that we know God fills in that hole, but they might think it's something else. And if you're in that place, and I had this one person, that's the type, she sought everything out, crystals and meditation and all these different things, which are not necessarily bad things. Like they have their place in time. But what do you do when those other good things don't work? And my challenge to anyone that reads this is just suspend disbelief a little. I'm not saying you have to believe what we believe, but try it. It doesn't hurt. If it doesn't work, it's just 7 days. If you want a refund, I'll give you a refund. I can't refund the fat you lose, but I can refund you the book that you bought, but just try it. And in the New Testament, when Jesus was around, there's this one story about Jesus going up to a blind man and saying, "Hey, do you believe I can heal you?" And the person said, "I believe, but help me with my unbelief." And I think it's good to be honest and just be like, "I don't exactly believe, but let's just give it a shot." And yeah, in 7 days, I mean, this person experienced the financial miracle that was just like, what? I had to remind this person, I'm like, did you just see what happened? Basically, she was looking for a coaching course and it got knocked off. She found a way where she got it for, she really wanted it. She couldn't afford it, but somehow she found a way to get it for 90% off.
Wow.
Where I was just like, what? Dang, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that energy you put out and the power of prayer, and some people can call it meditation or, that focusing on something, that energy, getting it out there to attract, the law of attraction or whatever is.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of like praying,
Mhm.
because when you pray, you're kind of like, just, okay, everything's going to be okay. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then you're just, focusing on the things that you want for yourself, your happiness, and I mean, that's really what it is about. It's about bringing that happiness to yourself
Yeah.
and making it come to fruition. And I just love this book. Like, it's just so simple. Like, if you were to guide somebody into getting started, like,
Yeah.
what would be some tips?
So depends on who you are. Let me change my camera here real quick. It is lagging for some reason. I'm going to change to my My FaceTime. Okay, there we now I'm extra bright. There we go. Okay. We just got new internet and for some reason it's lagging. But the first thing I'd say is if you're a person of prayer, then let God guide you and pray about it. Fasting is one of those things, or this type of a formula is one of those things that you should never feel forced to do. But if you pray about it and there's confirmation, then from there, start to seek that out, right? I designed the book so it's a 7-day thing, but it could be different for you. Maybe it's just a 3-day, like what you were talking about. That's actually how I started at first, Bev. I wanted to do a 7-day. And what happened is 3 days in, it was Thanksgiving. So I'm like, I'm going to break this right now. And then it did a 7-day, which is good, But yeah, but pray for confirmation, seek for confirmation. From there, the first step is to really document specifically what are you seeking breakthrough in, right? So I had 5 things that I talked about in the book that I was looking for, but what are you looking for? To clarity in your purpose? Is it something in your life? Is it in your marriage? Is it your business, your finances, or just seeking God himself? Like, what is it that you're looking for? So jot it down, literally journal this all down. And then from there, expect breakthrough to happen. Expect something's going to happen. I think about a story in the Bible of Jacob. And Jacob was, if you know his name in Hebrew, literally means deceiver. It's interesting. I don't know if you name your kid Deceiver, but they had an interesting sense of humor back in the day, I guess. And what happened is, interesting story. It says one night there came in God himself, a man that wrestled with Jacob. And Jacob goes through this interesting altercation and basically does not let go of this man who was God in form in the story and says, I will not let you go until you bless me. Interesting story. And God let him be submitted. And then God blessed him and actually changed his name from Jacob to Israel, basically from deceiver to the father of the nation, of that entire nation there. So when you go through this, expect breakthrough, expect something to happen, and don't let go until. Just keep on going. And I just say that. And then maybe get some support around you, some close family and friends, just to make sure they don't think you're all weird and stuff. So
yeah. No, I mean, that's really great advice. Also in the book, you talk about some communities that you have that people can join if they want support. If they don't have support, you get support. So I'm definitely going to share those links in the descriptions too. So if you're interested in joining those communities, please do. It's going to be awesome. Like for me, like I look at this simple formula. It's fasting and then prayer and then Bible study and then implementing right into your, but what do you call it? What is the last one? Or
that's it.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 3.
Yes.
That's the formula.
I mean, it can't get any simpler than that. But when you implement, I guess that's the hardest part, is the implementation.
But anyone can do anything for 7 days.
Yeah, 7 days. Piece of cake.
Exactly. Literally a piece of cake. Maybe not cake.
Yeah. How can people find you? Like, if they want to learn more, how can they order this book? Can you get it on Amazon?
You can get it on Amazon. I wouldn't. It's more expensive there because Amazon always have to get their cut. Best place to go is miraculousbreakthroughformula.com. You could just go straight to the website and it'll be cheaper over there with more information. You can follow me. I think almost all my social channels, they're the same. It's James C. Zheng, Zheng. And reach out, connect. If you have any questions, just send me a message. I love talking about these things and join our community groups. I suppose you can call it a ministry now, an online ministry called Kingdom Builders. So I run a YouTube, a podcast with Facebook groups, Telegram groups that you can follow and be alongside too. And I know it's going to bless you.
Follow him, you guys. It's going to be a breakthrough for sure. So one more question before we go. What is your desire now? Like, I mean, I feel like this book was your breakthrough, like what you accomplished. And you guys got your dream house, like what's next? Like what's next? What are you guys looking forward to?
I feel like through this fast, it was I suppose it's like the Jacob to Israel conversion. And I realized a deep clarity and purpose of why God formed me in my life. And I also believe every single person has a God specific call in their life as well too. You can't do everything, but you can do the things that God has designed for you. So if that's something you're looking for, pray for that specifically. And I got a clear confirmation that my goal is to be able to equip others so that they can unleash their God-given giftings and talents so that they're prepared. There's an analogy in the Bible of the bride and the bridegroom. And the bride is the church, which is the people of God, and the bridegroom is Jesus himself. And during this time as recording, we're 3 days away from Easter. So interesting timing on that. And I felt a clear call to be an equipper, a discipler of those that are in the church, either leading them there first, or secondly, those that are within to develop even further. I believe there's a lot of people that get saved, quote unquote, but they don't develop after that. And there's more to the life, to this side of life that meets the eye. He wants more from us. He wants to bring out our fullest potentials. And I want to help people, especially faith-based entrepreneurs, to be able to understand their God-given calls, their giftings and talents, so that when we meet the bridegroom, and if I'm like the wedding planner, so to speak, I want to make sure that the bride, that you are ready and you meet the bridegroom, Jesus, and he's like, welcome back. And it's the most amazing thing ever. So I think that's my direction now.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. And I'm so excited for you. I know that this next journey is just going to be miraculous in itself. And you're so good at getting all these people to, you have a very attractive energy. And I can just see you growing and, going more places and helping a lot of people. Me too, me included.
Absolutely. Oh, we're on this journey together, sister.
Yes, yes. So I want to thank you again for coming on here and recapping and sharing your book. And those of you who, please, it's so fast. You can literally read it in a day. Yes. Inject the value into your head and your being, and then fast, pray about it. So thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for joining us on Dark Horse Matters, the show about passionate people. And until next time, be passionate.